Hello, welcome to Calculator.java, my first portfolio program. In it, we can add, subtract, divide, multiply. We can also do synthetic division, and we can graph up to cubic functions. So I guess I will start with a demo. Okay, so first it'll open up the graph, put down in the box. It'll ask you if you want to graph or calculate. So first we will graph x plus 2. So the degree is 1. It'll print out the equation, ask what they all are. So m1 is 1, and then make that 0, and that is 2. And then we'll do it for 100 iterations. So from -50 to 50 by just going every integer. And it should print them out if I move my mouse. And you can see up in the bar, it will graph it. It's really far zoomed out. That's okay. You get the idea of what it looks like. And then it'll send us back to whether we want to graph or calculate. And we'll do that at the end of every function you complete. So next we'll graph x squared plus 2x plus 1, just because it's a real basic function. So it'll print out the equation again. You plug in all the numbers, and then we'll do it for 100 from -50 to 50, skipping every one, and it prints out all the values so you can see what goes to what and how when it equals 0. And again, graphs it on there. And it doesn't delete the previous graphs you've done unless you end the program and restart it. So then we can do one more graph, and that'll be a cubic function. So we'll do x cubed plus 3x squared plus 6x plus 1. So let's see, 3x squared plus 6x plus 1, 100 iterations. So again, -50 to 50. Oh, you get the idea. So then after that, we'll go into the more basic functions, which would be adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and then we'll finish off with synthetic division because that's one of the cooler things in this. All right, so now that that's all graphed, we can go into calculating. It'll ask if we want to add, subtract, divide, synthetic divide, or multiply. So we'll add, we'll do 1 plus 2 is 3. And we can subtract, and we'll get 2 minus 1 with 1. We can go back and subtract, and we can do 1 minus 2. It'll actually give us a negative number, as it should. And then we can do division, which will, let's do 1 divided by 2 should be 0.5. There you go. And then we can do 10 divided by 2, just so that's 5, just to get a little bit of variety in there. All right, and then calculate. And this time we're going to skip synthetic division, and we'll do that last, just because multiplying is easy. We can do 2 times 5, 10. Okay, and then, so for the synthetic division, you kind of have to have the equation in front of you. You can't just type it in because it's kind of hard to figure out what you're doing. But it'll ask you for the degree of your polynomial. So for my polynomial that I have written here, it is 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus 3x plus 2 divided by x plus 1. So the degree for that would be 3. So then we're dividing by x plus 1, but because of the way synthetic division works, you're actually going to put the negative version of the constant combined with x. So instead of, if it's x plus 1, we'll put in -1. And then it'll ask you for the next coefficient, which would be the coefficient in the numerator of this division. So for 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus 3x plus 2, Those coefficients are 3, 4, 3, and 2. And it'll spit out the answer. You kind of have to know what the numbers mean in order for it to work for you. But the way these numbers work here is the first number will be for the first coefficient and then so down the line. So the answer for this one would be 3x squared plus x plus 2. And then the last one is 0 because there's no remainder. I picked those numbers on purpose so that it would do that. Otherwise, if you had a number there, it would be that number divided by x plus 1. But, that's no fun. So that concludes the functions of that. And now I can walk through the code. So we'll just minimize that. Scroll to the top. So I guess we'll start at the very top. Very good place to start. We start by getting the comp sci library, colors for the graphing and the scanner. So we can input, output, all that. So it's just called Calculator, and then we have all of these global variables. Most of them are for the graphing, like delta x, which is just like the change in x, which it was asking for earlier. And then we have the sketchpad, the drawing tool, and the scanner. Those are all just declared up there, so we can use them throughout with all the methods. And then we have the main method, which all it does is call the menu, and that's just so we can keep calling menu later on. Originally, most of it was all in main, and that just caused a problem because it was very hard to loop it without having to write like a whole for loop or a while loop. So then right after that, it just has menu. And you can see it asks, what would you like to do? And then this is an if-else function right here. So if you put in 1, it'll do that. And if you put in 2, it'll go down to here. Actually, it's an else, so whatever you put in other than a 1, as long as it's a number, it will bring it down here. But if you hit 1 to do a function, it will declare all these variables again. And then draw graph is a method all the way at the bottom. And what that does is exactly what it means. It just draws the graph, as you see. So it'll just put the x-axis and the y-axis down, so that it doesn't have to do that every single time you want to graph. Let's see, where were we? All right, so then it'll ask what the degree of your polynomial. Unfortunately, due to the constraint of having to expand the equation for the function every single time, I only have it up to cubic functions, but then the default, it'll print out error and then just go back to the menu. And that was using a switch with degree int right here, just there. So then after that, it'll go into, do you want to add, subtract, divide, snake divide, or multiply? And the first thing it'll do is it will declare x and y to be 0, just so we can set values to them later. And right here, we have to do a little special thing. That's just if the answer to the question is not 4, it asks what x and y are, because for 4, that's the synthetic division, that's the special case where it doesn't care what x and y are. So then it'll go down, and we have another switch where it just says 1 through 5, and then has a default with an error that sends it back to menu. So, just add x, y, that'll send you down to here, where it just takes in 2 doubles, and it returns a double. Pretty basic. It does the same thing for subtraction, multiplication, division, and then number 4 is synthetic division, and that will send you down to the pride and joy of this program. inspired